Lie back and relax. Tonight, the story I will tell you will take you centuries back, into the narrow streets of Jerusalem and to a table immortalized by Leonardo's brush. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Asterisk, asterisk, in the fading light of Jerusalem, when the city seemed weighed down by whispers of unrest and the heavy tread of Roman soldiers echoed through the narrow streets, Jesus of Nazareth walked with a quiet certainty. He knew what lay ahead. His words in the days before had been laced with mystery, sorrow, and warning. But on this night, he gathered his 12 closest companions for what would become not only a meal, but the unfolding of destiny itself. This supper, later remembered simply as the Last Supper, was far more than bread and wine shared among friends. It was the moment when prophecy, betrayal, love, and sacrifice collided. It was the moment Leonardo da Vinci, centuries later, would capture on the wall of a Dominican monastery in Milan, a moment frozen not just in pigment and plaster, but in the imagination of all who would ever gaze upon it. The table stretched long across the room, a heavy wooden board covered in simple fare, bread, wine, and the meager dishes of the day. Oil lamps flickered faintly, casting both warmth and shadow upon the walls. The air carried a stillness, as though creation itself held its breath. At the center of it all sat Jesus. His presence, calm yet commanding, radiated a serenity that none of the confusion around him could shake. His eyes seemed to see beyond the walls of that room, beyond the city itself, gazing into eternity. The apostles, however, were restless. They were men of flesh and blood, full of questions, doubts, fears. They leaned toward one another, whispered, argued in hushed tones. For though they loved their teacher deeply, they did not fully grasp the weight of the hour. Then, breaking the uneasy murmur, Jesus spoke. His voice was steady, carrying across the table like a stone cast upon still water. Truly, I tell you, one of you will betray me. The words fell like thunder. Silence shattered, replaced by shock. Hands slammed against the table. Eyes widened. Breath caught in throats. The very air seemed to ripple with disbelief at the far left of the table. Bartholomew pushed himself up from his seat so suddenly that his bench scraped against the floor. His face, a mixture of confusion and outrage, turned toward Jesus. Beside him, James the Lesser leaned forward, voice trembling. "Master, what do you mean? Surely not one of us." Andrew, unable to contain himself, lifted his hands toward the heavens, fingers spread in alarm. How could this be? We have followed you, left everything for you. Who among us would dare? Yet Jesus did not answer their questions. He remained still, his gaze calm, his expression untroubled. At the opposite end of the table, Matthew and Jude Thaddeus turned to Simon, searching his weathered face for answers. "Ask him," Matthew urged. "He must explain." Simon, older and dignified, stroked his beard, frowning deeply as his eyes shifted back to Jesus in the center grouping. Thomas leaned forward, raising a finger in sharp insistence. "Lord, who is it? Tell us plainly." James, the greater, stretched out his arms wide, as though trying to grasp the meaning of the moment. his voice breaking with anguish. Philip pressed his hands against his chest and leaned close, pleading softly, "Surely not I, Lord. Surely not I." And then there was the group to the left of Jesus, the trio that would become the focal point of Leonardo's masterpiece. Peter, fiery and bold, leaned forward urgently. Behind him, he clutched the hilt of a small knife, not yet unsheathed but gleaming with implication. He would not hesitate to defend his master, even if it meant violence. Next to Peter rested John, the youngest, often called the disciple whom Jesus loved. His face was soft, his body fragile. He had not yet lived enough years to carry the weight of age or cynicism, and his delicate form leaned, almost collapsing, against Peter. His long hair fell like silk, his eyes downcast, as if overwhelmed by grief before the betrayal had even unfolded. And then, in their midst, sat Judas. He drew back slightly from the table, as if the very words of Jesus had scorched him. His eyes darted quickly, furtively, unwilling to meet the gaze of his teacher. His right hand gripped tightly a small purse, the leather worn its weight betraying the silver coins within the price of treachery. His left hand stretched forward, reaching toward a dish at the same moment that Jesus, too, extended his hand. "The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me," Jesus said quietly, "is the one who will betray me." A chill ran down the spines of the others. They looked at Judas in horror, in disbelief. He shifted in his seat, face half shrouded in shadow, his head lowered, lower than any of the others. He did not speak. Perhaps he could not. The darkness clung to him like a shroud. Peter's eyes burned with fury, hand tightening on the knife. John, shaken, leaned closer, whispering, "Lord, who is it?" Jesus replied only, "What you are about to do, do quickly." The weight of destiny was in the air, and yet, even as the apostles argued, feared, and doubted, Jesus remained composed. He reached for the bread, broke it, and spoke again, "Take, eat. This is my body, given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." He lifted the cup of wine. "Drink from it, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant, poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins." In that moment, betrayal and sacrifice stood side by side. A friend would sell him for silver, and yet through his death, he would offer the gift of eternal life. Centuries later, in Milan, Leonardo da Vinci would capture this very instant on the refectory wall of Santa Maria del Grozzi. Unlike other painters of his time who followed tradition rigidly, Leonardo sought to breathe life into the moment. He was not content with stiff, lifeless saints. He wanted real men with real emotions, shock, anger, fear, sorrow. Leonardo was a man of endless curiosity. Painter, engineer, anatomist, dreamer, his notebooks brimmed with inventions centuries ahead of their time. He studied the flight of birds, the mechanics of the human body, the play of light upon surfaces. When he approached the Last Supper, he brought all of this restless genius with him. He abandoned the classic fresco technique, daring instead to experiment. He painted directly onto the wall with a method of his own design, hoping to achieve brilliance of color, depth of texture. For a brief moment, he succeeded. Those who first saw the painting spoke of its astonishing vibrancy, the lifelike presence of the figures, the illusion of a second room beyond the wall. But genius comes at a cost. Within 50 years, the surface began to flake and fade. Centuries of neglect, damp air, and even war would ravage it. During the Second World War, when bombs fell upon Milan, the monastery itself was struck. Rubble covered the floor, yet miraculously, the wall bearing Leonardo's masterpiece survived. Even in ruin, the painting speaks. Though many of Leonardo's original strokes have vanished, restorers have labored to preserve what remains. Today, as one stands before the Last Supper, the effect is still profound. The chaos of the apostles, the serenity of Christ, the shadow over Judas. Yet something crucial is missing. A doorway cut through the wall long after Leonardo's time erased the feet of Jesus. Originally, his feet had been visible, their position believed to mirror the crucifixion itself, foreshadowing the fate that awaited him. Now they are gone lost to time and careless hands, and still the painting endures. Still it speaks. It tells of a night when friendship and betrayal shared the same table, when faith was tested, and when history itself bent under the weight of destiny. Jesus' words still echo across centuries. One of you will betray me. And in that haunting declaration, humanity sees itself, its weakness, its failings, its longing for redemption. Leonardo captured it all: the fear of men, the calm of divinity, and the eternal tension between light and shadow.